much at all.
Yeah, so you're in Brizzy?
No, mate, I'm in Perth, mate. Oh, something's going on. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, no, I'm in Perth, mate.
Oh, okay. The sun's still up there, eh?
Just. Yeah, no, appreciate you coming on, mate, and having the chat with me. I really appreciate it.
That's all good.
Yeah, you're one of the first of current day players that's joined me, or the first. So, yeah, no, I really appreciate you giving me the time, man.
Oh, that's all good, man. Hopefully you can get many more in the weeks.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully, yeah, especially with the season coming up, mate. Yeah.
How long have you been doing it for?
Just about 6 months, mate.
Oh yeah, it's going all right.
Yeah, it's going good, mate. Yeah, I've had heaps of interviews with ex NRL players. They've been happy to get on. Because they're supportive of what I'm trying to do over here in Perth and promote the game.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason that they jump on, and because we want rugby league to go everywhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You're trying to help get a bit more awareness in Perth.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And especially with this the possibility of an 18th team coming in soon.
Yeah.
Perth, this is one of my questions, but we may as well get it out of the way. What do you think of 18th team here in Perth?
Mate, I think I'm all for rugby league as a code growing. And, I think that an 18th team certainly would help that. And, I don't know too much about Perth, but, I did my 2-week quarantine there, and I got out for one day, and I saw, I was on the main street there, heaps of nice people there. And I think, if it was to expand to an 18th team and Perth was in the picture, I'd certainly be in support of it.
Yeah, awesome. Beautiful, mate. Yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful place to play footy. Me personally, this is just my opinions. I mean, as you can see, I'm a Broncos man, and I always have been, always will be. But it's, I would show my support behind the Perth team. I'd buy membership and all that sort of stuff. But the support's here for it. Especially if we want to, the NRL want to, compete with the AFL. They need to get into these AFL territories, just like the AFL did with the NRL territories.
Yeah, for sure.
And the AFL teams has got 2 over here, so they fly over east every second week. So if they can make it happen, NRL should be able to make it happen with one team. So
yeah, well, I think the flight's not. I don't think that'll be an issue. Is it like 4 hours to Brisbane and Sydney? Yeah, I guess long leg would be to over to New Zealand eventually, which I think would certainly make it a bit of a challenge for both teams. But that's only 2 games out of the year, and I'm sure both teams will be able to manage that. I think I guess Perth makes sense as well. It's a capital city of WA, and it's a big city, big population there. And it's a great way to grow the game as well, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely, mate, would be. Yeah, and we've got a huge junior base over here as well. We've got some players coming through. You've got a guy up in Brisbane this year, Jordan Pereira. He's from Perth. Played over in here, plays juniors over here. Bryson Goodwin as well. So there's a few players around that played over here that play in the NRL. Yeah, we've got the players.
Games played over there. I remember Titans playing over in Perth 1 year. There's a lot of support there for them as well. So I think certainly a team in Perth would definitely benefit the game, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. And yourself being from Papua New Guinea as well, that would obviously holds a very close tie to your heart. But would you rather see a team in Papua New Guinea or even Perth?
I'm going to be a bit biased here. I'm going to say PNG just because that's where I'm from. But in saying that, anywhere that helps grow the game, anywhere in the Pacific Islands, even Pacific nations, just because rugby league's so loved by those countries. But obviously, you're saying there's a big community in Perth as well. I think South Australia at one point were keen as well, and I think Northern Territory. So I guess it's good that all these different parts of Australia want to come into the NRL competition. I think it speaks volumes for the game, and to have those cities requesting to have their team in the game, I think says a lot about where the game is and what it does for their people.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. No, that's perfectly said. So we'll jump into your career and stuff, mate. You like we just mentioned, you're a Papua New Guinea boy, born in Port Moresby. You come over here as a young fella. Did you come over to Australia with your whole family, or was it just yourself?
No, my auntie moved to Australia because her eldest son got into university in Lismore, Southern Cross, and they had lived there for a year or two. And then because my dad was Australian, and my mum was Papua New Guinean, and I never knew my dad, but it was easier for me to come to Australia, to Lismore at the age of 12. So I ended up leaving my mum and my two brothers and one younger sister at that time over with my auntie. So I made the move by myself.
Oh, wow. Yeah, nice. It's a beautiful part of the country. Lismore, isn't it, mate? I was actually born over there.
Oh, no way. Lismore base.
Yep. I was born there and grew up in Ballina. So, yeah.
Yeah, mate, there's a lot of, since I moved to Brisbane, I find that a lot of people are from Lismore.
Yeah, right. It moved up.
Are you more tuned to hearing about Lismore, or everyone just comes to Brisbane from Lismore? But it is a great place, mate. I played a lot of cricket in Lismore. There's cricket fields everywhere, as you know. I played rugby union with Lismore Rugby Club for about 6 years, and then I made a year of transition into rugby league. So Lismore's got a big place in my heart because it helped me develop a lot of the skills that that I use in first grade right now.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's beautiful, mate. You get picked to go to Gold Coast, from Lismore. In 2009, make your debut against the Dragons, mate. How was that? How was that debut game for you?
Oh, mate, it was surreal. I didn't actually know I was playing until I got to the game. I'd done the captain's run, did all the training and stuff, prepared, but Chris Walker was still in doubt at the time, and I didn't know whether he was going to play. So I turned up to the game, and 90 minutes before kickoff, John Cartwright comes up and says, "Mate, you'll make your debut." And I just remember I nearly had tears in my eyes from that moment he told me. And I remember coming off the bench, and Wendell Saylor was the winger. I remember he was just trying to talk to me and trying to get my attention the whole time. I was just looking into the field, trying to avoid eye contact with him. He was known a bit for his banter, so I tried to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, I bet, mate. I bet. Yeah, he would have played some mind games with you. Before you play for the Gold Coast too, you get to play for Papua New Guinea, represent them in 2008. How did that come about? It seems like you hadn't played an official NRL game.
Well, because the under-20s comp was in play the year that I played, and I think I only played like maybe 8 or 10 games, and Adrian Lamb rang me up and said, "Mate, I'd love for you to be a part of the trial team that goes over to PNG to trial against the residents side." And he said, "There's an opportunity there for you if you play well." So I went over to PNG, and it was just by chance that I played a good game, and then he gave me an opportunity to make the World Cup squad. I remember my family being so happy, proud, and emotional that I was able to make that side. Now, especially I hadn't played first grade yet, and to be able to go out and represent PNG before I'd played any first grade game was exciting, but also nerve-wracking as well.
Yeah, I bet it was, mate. And I could just imagine the amount of emotions that yourself going through representing your, where you're from, and then your family as well, to represent your family out in that field, in that World Cup. Wow.
Yes, walking out of the tunnel and you just hear the cheering, names being called out, and then you're standing in line listening to your national anthem. looking into the crowd and spotting a few family members. So yeah, it's certainly a time of my life that I'll never forget.
Yeah, beautiful. No, I bet it won't be, mate. Yeah, so like with when you were playing for the Gold Coast, mate, you end up playing 147 games for them. Yeah, you finished there in 2016. Go to Brisbane for a season. Ends up being a season. You signed for an extra one, but end up moving over to Catalan for a couple of seasons. What was the reason behind going from Brisbane, or your contract basically being cut short and having to go to Catalan?
I remember Steve Mack telling Paul Aiton while we were in Kummel's camp that he needed a fullback or outside back to go to the Catalans, and he said, "I know you haven't been playing first grade consistently this year, so there's an opportunity for you to come and cement a spot here and play first grade for 3 years and experience a bit of the French lifestyle." And I thought, what a good way to challenge myself and my family, and obviously see another part of the world as well. And I just didn't know if I would get that opportunity again had I kept playing in the NRL.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd go and tick that box. I'm so glad that we did, because we went over there and we were able to win the first actual trophy that the Catalan Dragons have won since the inauguration into the Super League. So that was certainly a proud moment for me and my family. I think going over there and doing that was one of the best decisions I've ever made, even though it came with its challenges, being away from family and away from NRL. But that was mainly the reason why I decided to go over there, which I certainly enjoyed.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's kind of lucky that you did, mate. You sort of missed out on a couple of those crap years that the Broncos have had. So
yeah, mate, it was a tough couple of years for the lads there. I was tuning in whenever we trained. The games were on here, so I couldn't really watch much. But whenever I got the opportunity to watch the games, I tried to tune in and follow the Titans and the Broncos. So it was a tough couple of years, but hopefully this year we can turn things around.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. I mean, you come back from Catalan's the time of the Broncos last year. You played a few games, and then this year you guys have got a few signings. You got one from each of the grand final teams. Brenko Lee as well. And then you got Jordan Pereira, like I mentioned. There's a few guys that have come into the squad. Where do you see the team sort of getting stronger?
I think obviously Reynolds signing is a big help for us. He's an experienced halfback, good organizer, and he's a leader. I think him coming into the side will certainly help, and we still got a lot of work to do across the park, especially defensively. Last year we leaked way too many points, and a lot of the structures and things we just didn't have. I guess I wouldn't say belief's not really the word. I guess what I'm saying is the consistency in our defensive structures. So that's something we're working really hard on this preseason. I think it needs to get a lot better next year for us to be able to compete consistently. And that's what we're working on across the park. And in terms of the signings, Jordan coming here strengthens the back line. Brenko as well is obviously won a grand final with Melbourne and played State of Origin as well. So he's a very experienced guy, and he's coming to training. He's training really hard, and Capel is yet to join us. I think he's been in Sydney for a while, but he'll be with us this week, and we look forward to having him as well. He's obviously a guy who's very experienced as well and played at a high level. So they'll certainly help the team move forward. Yeah,
definitely, mate. Definitely. I mean, like from what I noticed last year, it seemed that last couple of years they sort of struggled to get out of the Anthony Seibold coached ways, and then sort of by the end of last year, you guys sort of got the confidence and belief that the systems that Kevy was putting in were working, and it just showed that back half of the year. You might not have won a lot of games, but you could see the confidence in the team, and you beat Sharks in in a close game, but the confidence was there. You could see it, and the cohesion seemed to be there. Is that how you guys felt as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think, winning those last couple of games back into the year certainly helped that confidence, belief. But there's also a couple of close games like that we lost start of the year, and Penrith, Eels as well, and a couple other games there that you win those 3 or 4 games, it changes the position you are on the ladder, and it makes a big difference in the confidence amongst the boys. Those last couple of games certainly helped that. But hopefully next year we can start the year strong and play consistently throughout the year, because one thing you want to get right is the way you play as a team and building confidence from that. So that's something we're working really hard this preseason, and Kevy's making sure that we perform at that high standard at training week in and week out, so they can translate onto the footy field.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, you've got Billy Walters come up as well as another signing. You've got, so that makes, with like the halves combination, makes it real hard. You've got Albert Kelly, Tyson Gamble, Billy Walters. There's another young guy coming through as well, and then you've got Adam Reynolds locked down that half position, mate. How have you guys been working that 5'8" position at the moment through training?
Yeah, the boys been well. We've got 2 teams that play opposed against each other, and there's always guys changing positions. But there's obviously competition for positions there. 5'8's one of them, and Tyson obviously played really well last year when he was playing, and Albie's an experienced halfback. You got a couple of young guys, as you said, Ezra and even Tyrone Roberts training with us on a training as well. It brings a lot of experience. So there's a lot of excitement at training, a lot of competition, but I think that's what's going to help this team. We'll probably find out more during the trials, and January, February, who's going to look more likely to fill that spot.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I mean, me personally, mate, I'm pumped to see this new squad come out. We've got experience in the back line with yourself, Corey Oates. It's a shame that we lost Xavier Coates, but I mean, I'm pumped. The halves, the forward pack's looking stronger. I can't wait for you guys to get out there myself. It's one of the strongest teams I've seen in the last probably 3 or 4 years for the Broncos.
It is. It's exciting, mate, because I look at a lot of the names on the team list and go, man, this is a pretty good squad here. And, we've got a lot of outside backs who can play first grade. It would be part of a first grade team in most other teams. And for me, it's not a walk in the park either. I've got to work hard and make sure that I have a good preseason and a good trial game to give myself a good chance of starting round 1 as well. A lot of guys are in that boat, so I think it's healthy. It's good competition for the boys, and we'll be certainly pushing each other to get better.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Just go back into playing for Papua New Guinea, buddy. I mean, I'm trying to break up the questions here with you, not just talk about the Broncos.
Sure, mate.
When you were playing for Papua New Guinea, you got to captain the, was it 2016, and then in the World Cup in 2017, mate. How much of an honour was that for you to represent your country or captain them? Sorry.
Yeah, huge honour, because I've never really thought about it, or I never thought that would be a position I'd be in. But when it was handed to me in the 2016 game against Fiji, it took me a while to let that sink in. And then by the time the 2017 World Cup came around, I was just buzzing. Hey, I couldn't believe that, the coach that had faith in me to pick me as captain. I know I was the most experienced player, but when you're there, it's kind of hard to see yourself being in that position. In saying that, though, being the captain was good. It was nice, but I had a lot of other guys who could lead around me, which made my job a lot easier. I didn't have to really change much of what I did. I just prepared well, tried to lead by example, and I tried to teach the guys from Papua New Guinea that how to prepare themselves. A lot of the guys who were based internationally were able to bring their first grade experience back into camp, and they helped me out with trying to keep the group together. And being captain, it was a huge honour, but I didn't really have to do much because of the guys around me.
Yeah, no, that's good, mate. That's great. 2014 and 15, you also get to represent New South Wales country. Obviously we were talking about before being from Lismore. Obviously not as high as regarded into as representing Papua New Guinea, but still a bit of an honour to get representing the country, New South Wales. How was those games for you, mate?
Mate, when I played city country game, it just reminded me of being with Maris brothers in Lismore rugby because, Lismore, like a lot of our country guys there and just enjoying their footy, being just that type of company. And when I was, obviously it's a different level. When I was in camp with the country lads, I was with James Maloney. I was rooming with Jimmy, and I tried to see how he prepared and how the other guys trained and how they prepared. It was just really interesting to see that side of other players, especially because I was at the Titans I was only at the one club for years and years. I didn't really know how other players from different clubs were preparing themselves every day. So, you got someone like James Maloney who's a lot more casual, carefree about the way he prepares, still trains hard. And then someone like Dale Finucane, who is like very pedantic and specific with all his stretching, professional, all that type of stuff. So that's what I try to take away from those city country games. And obviously the game itself, guys are out there and you can just feel that the hits are a little bit harder. Guys tackle you and wrestle you a bit better. So those are the things that I certainly enjoyed experiencing and what I learned from those city country games. They certainly weren't a walk in the park, that's for sure.
Yeah, I bet, mate. I absolutely bet it wasn't. You mentioned in your messages and stuff you got children. How do you find dealing with being a father and an NRL player and juggling the time between the two?
But it's kind of you wake up. I'm out of home by 6:30, so I don't really. My 6-year-old, he wakes up, so I get to see him for like half hour. And by the time I'm gone, I get home at between 4 and 5. I just try to spend as much time as I can with them until they go to sleep. Now that's just during preseason. That's 4-6 days a week. Some days you get a half a day, you get to come home earlier and spend more time with them. So in terms of trying to juggle it, I put the phone away whenever I'm around them, and just to make sure that my attention is 100% with them. This is 95% of the time. There's sometimes I pick my phone up and I'm tired and stuff. I just want to, relax. But most of the time, that's how I try to make sure that I get a lot out of the day with my two boys. And then they have a bedtime routine. They're in bed by 7:30 at latest, so that between that time and 10 o'clock, me and my wife get to spend some time together. Whether that's watch a movie together or have a chat, have some tea and banana bread, whatever it is. That's most kind of look like that. And then on the weekends we get more time, so we try to get out of the house and go to like the little water park or something like that, or down to the park. Most weeks kind of look like that, and when I'm doing that, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, nice.
So,
yeah, that's awesome, mate. Awesome. And I've bloody interrupted yours and Mrs. time, mate. So
all right. She's watching a show right now, and I'm not a fan of that show, so it's a good time to do it.
lucky you, mate. Do you have any like pre-game rituals or superstitions? Putting your socks on a certain way or anything like that?
Mate, I used to tie my. I never shared it, but like since I've been on this podcast, a few people have asked me. I used to tie up my shoelaces 4 knots. I like the number 4 because it's my birthday, so I just felt like that would somehow make me play good or protect. That's one thing I like to keep consistent. But game day, I normally try to have like some light meals and have a nap. If it's a night game, I try to have like a half hour, 1 hour nap so that the battery's recharged by the time game comes around. Everything else I try to just be carefree because I don't want it to get to game day and I haven't ticked 4 or 5 boxes. And by the time the game comes around, I just want to be relaxed and
Yep.
About much until I get to the game.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome, man. I mean, like, speaking, you're saying your birthday's on the 4th. I seen when your birthday was. I was like, oh, we're the same age. We're both born in '88.
Oh yeah. What month are you?
March.
Oh, March. You got a few.
A little bit older, a little bit. Don't worry, mate. I've got heaps of kids as well. So I mean, I've got 10 that live in my household at the moment. So I've got 10 that live in this household.
Keep your hands full, that.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, what was that?
How do you balance that out? Do you?
It's hard.
What's that, 5 versus 5?
It's hard, like, because the oldest one's 15. Because between me and my partner, we got 12 kids between us. One of my kids with his mum, and the other one, my Mrs. Daughter lives with her grandmother in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the 10 that live here, our oldest is 15 and the youngest is 3 months old. So it's hard. Like, our babies get all our attention at the moment.
Busy.
Oh, mate. And then, we've got the girls play netball, my boys play rugby league. The rugby league club wants me to become on the board with them and help them out and coach. And then, I've just recently got a job doing FIFO work, so I'll have to go back and do that. So, especially to pay for all these kids, so it's hard, but it's at the moment we sort of manage it with just the babies are the main ones we sort of are helping, and the big kids help us out. We all are a blended family, so we all help each other out, and it's cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a hectic household, but it works.
Yeah, so my mum's a sibling of 11, or I'd have to recount, but yeah, they're up there as well.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, I couldn't imagine being part of that, but yeah, having the kids it's. What's the training life of an NRL player, mate? I know preseason is full on, but when it comes into the proper season, what's the training life like? Is it a full day at the training grounds and then nighttime off, or is it sort of broken up? How's it work?
Well, normally, say you play on a Friday night, you do a recovery on a Saturday morning at a swimming pool. Everyone meets somewhere. You do your ice bath, normally at the training facilities, ice bath, swim, stretch, all the recovery stuff. Sometimes you do the video then. If you don't do the video, then it's a Monday video session, followed by a field and then weights around, 1, 2 o'clock. You try and get home by 3, 4 o'clock, so the day is not too long. Process on the Tuesday, and then Wednesday is like a half day where you get, do your recovery stuff. Thursday's captain's run, and then Friday game. So the time you spend at training is a lot less, because during the year, a lot of your days are based around recovery. You're trying to get your body to freshen up as quick as you can, so that come game time next week, you're fresh, ready to go. So there's not too much time spent on the field. A lot of it's spent, watching video, stretching, recovering, that type of stuff. Yeah,
cool. What about game day life? What's involved with that? I know it would obviously be different when you're at a home game to a away game. How does that work?
Normally, a home game, you turn up to the game 90 minutes before. That's been the standard since I come into first grade, for most teams anyway. Not much has changed there. But for an away game, say you're at a hotel, everyone meets in the team room for a quick meeting, and then you try and get to the game 90 minutes before again. So a lot of it's trying to be, coaches try to keep that consistent, so that the away game doesn't feel too different from a home game. You're trying to get there that 90 minutes is enough for players to do what they need to do to prepare themselves for the game.
With the away games, do you usually fly straight back to back home, or do you just wait for the next day? Or
well, this year was obviously a bit different, but normally it's if you play an afternoon game in Sydney, you try to get back home that night. If it's a night game, then Obviously, no flights out of Sydney that you can make, so you're just trying to get home as quick as you can the next day, because most of the guys have families, so I guess management try to make that trip as short as they can so that guys can get back to their families, which something that I certainly enjoy being doing as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do a lot of the families come to the games, away games, or are they not allowed?
They can travel to the games, but my family's never travelled away. But because you're away with the team, you're with the team the whole time. Families aren't necessarily at the hotel with you, so mainly it's by the time you get to Sydney, it's 4 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock. You have a sleep. That day you're preparing for the game, and then you play the game, come back home. So plus sometimes there's school on the Friday, so families, they normally stay up here, unless it's like a two or 200th or something like that. Then families are flown down by the club to attend that special match.
Oh, yeah, cool. No, that's awesome. It was just an interesting point for the people that will watch this eventually. Just thought give them insight of game day life and training life for these guys that are. We're hoping that can make it into the NRL. Whether they, like I said, my email to you or my message.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of fans that are from Papua New Guinea, so these guys are going to look up to you. Being a Papua New Guinea boy, and if you're with that stuff, saying to them, this is what goes on, they can sort of go, oh wow, okay, well this is what we're going to look forward to.
Oh mate, before I started playing, this is stuff I was interested in, hearing about what first grade players did on game day during the week. I remember asking my coach from Maris Brothers. I just said, how often do you think the NRL guys train? Weight, running. I'd ask all the details in the world so that I could try to do all those things. But I found that training with your local club and getting advice from the coach, listening to him as much as you can, that's just as valuable as hearing what NRL players get up to week as well.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Just a bit of a personal question, mate. Have you gone through, with your life, I'm not talking just about football, but in life in general, have you gone through like a low point in your life? And if so, how did you get through it?
I feel like I'm a lot better at dealing with, things that could possibly lead to low points a lot better now. So I don't get to that stage very often or at all, because I've learned a few tools and tricks to make my body move and make my mind think of other things or things that I can be grateful for, so that, I feel like my natural state of mind is pretty happy and positive. But there are times where I get, frustrated. But I wouldn't say I've been depressed. Maybe when I was a bit younger and my grandmother passed away, that was the hardest thing I could deal with. I was 12 years old, 11 years old, turning 12. And that was a very low point in my life. But, you've got a whole community around you there supporting you. Then you get football injuries, things that make you feel like it's the end of the world. I guess how I dealt with those was I had good people around me who I could speak to. They'd notice my body language and ask, hey, is everything all right? We had a club chaplain at the Titans who used to check in on us all the time to make sure that, everything was all good at home. And I've been pretty blessed with growing up with a really good family who always spoke about their feelings and how they express themselves. I was never really that type of person, but I just felt comfortable being around that type of environment. So now that I'm getting older and I realize that, having conversations with other people, doesn't just help you, but helps them as well, because if they hear that you're going through something that's pretty hard, they don't feel like they're the only ones going through it.
Yep.
I feel like I try to express myself as much as I can now, so that it can help them out, because there are a lot of people who do go through tough times, and unfortunately there's a lot of people who end their lives as well because of tough times. And it's something that we can all do better as a society. And for me personally, how I deal with it is, if something that might make me lead to worry, stress, uncertainty, I get up, go for a walk, or I count my blessings. It's always a work in progress every day, but doing those things naturally for me put me in a good state, so that those thoughts or feelings don't come around very often.
Yeah.
Or I do, but the intensity of the feeling isn't like there as strong,
Well, that's perfect, mate. That sort of leads me into the next question, which is part of that. And the NRL is a big supporter of this, like with mental health issues these days. What advice have you got for people that are going through, I guess, the depression sort of state? What advice have you got for these people out there?
Advice is a lot easier to give, because everyone's going through something different. But for me personally, what I do that helps me get into a good natural state of mind is normally exercise, deep breathing, and actually feeling gratitude. When you count your blessings, whatever it is, the light inside your house, the tap water running from your kitchen sink. When I compare that type of convenience compared to, say, someone from a country that may be struggling with that, it changes my perspective. It doesn't mean I don't have any problems. It just means, okay, I can appreciate this simple thing. And when you have a sense of appreciation and gratitude, for me personally, a lot of the other negative feelings kind of reduce a lot, and so my level goes up. The feeling of love and feeling content rises up as well. So if there was any advice for someone who's going through tough times, speak to someone about it, share it, because most certainly whatever you're going through, other people have experienced it as well, and they've been able to come out on the other side and inspiring other people. So find someone that you can talk to and get some exercise, or try and count you more than what you're missing out on.
No, that's perfect advice, mate. I couldn't agree more. And the more people I've asked about this, that same question, nearly everyone says the same thing. It's a lot to do with exercise, and that helps your mental state, getting into the right, exerting that energy and being fit in mind and body. Not like, because me personally, I've gone through depression. I didn't do it the right way, and I've learned, my advice to people is when I've seen them is don't rely on the alcohol. I did that, and it was the wrong choice. And it can lead to even worse decisions that they're going to put you into a worse state. So
for sure. Alcohol, it's not bad, but too much of it is certainly bad. I'm a fan of having like 2-3 glasses of red wine, but too much of it over a long period of time, over a couple of weeks, couple of months, will certainly make your life a lot worse. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. We'll just jump back into footy life. With your season coming up, and in past seasons, have you sort of set yourself personal goals that you want to achieve, whether it be X amount of tries in the season, or have you set any sort of goals, and even what's your goals this year?
My main goal this year is to play consistently every week, so that I give myself a good chance to play every week. It's mainly based around just carrying the ball strong and sticking to all your tackles. I think and all the other stuff as well. But I think if you carry the ball strong and go to a game, and you're well prepared, you give yourself a very good chance of playing first grade regularly. So that's what I've based my goals around. And for preseason, it's about trying to get rid of all the niggling injuries that I have and making sure that my body and my mind are training are at their peak by the time round one comes around.
Yeah, no, perfect, mate.
Sorry, man, I'll just move this phone to the charger so that it just give me a 10% warning.
That's the way. Have you got any advice for kids coming up these days that are wanting to be professional, maybe not rugby player, but a professional sports player, and maybe even just in life in general? Any advice for these sort of kids coming up?
Consistency is key. I think whatever it is that you do, if you're consistent with it every day, every week, every month, whatever it is you do, it's going to pay off over time.
Yeah.
When I think back on my rugby league career, it didn't necessarily start at age 20. I started at the age of 13, but I always try to do my extras outside of the team's footy sessions because I was pretty lucky that I worked out at a younger age that doing the extras, you can notice the difference when you go back to training because you feel like you're a lot better than your last training session. And if you can do that consistently over a long period of time, whatever it is that you do, I think you'll notice great improvements, whether that's at a high level or at a local level, whatever it is that you do. I think being consistent is one of the most important things that you can do because someone else is out there being consistent, working hard, and if you're both going for number one in whatever it is that you're doing, the person who's put in the more time, most of the time will get the result.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's perfect advice, mate. And I try to pass that sort of stuff on to my kids. You got to put in the effort. There's always someone out there that's doing just as much work, if not more. So
yeah, for sure. And I think it's also being smart as well. If you're a rugby league player, you don't want to be going out, doing marathons to train for rugby league. You got to go out and find the coaches that are helping you that know thing or two about rugby league. If you're trying to be an artist, you're trying to find artists who have done it before you, and you're trying to model them in a way. You want to learn how to drive cars. You go to a driving instructor. So I think being smart about it certainly helps as well, and it can help you progress faster. But being patient and consistent. Two things I've noticed in my career that have helped me, play at this level for a long period of time.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, mate. With my page, I'm going to ask the personal question on my side. What do you reckon I could do to promote the game here in Perth? Promote the game even more than, what's going on at the moment? I mean, at the moment, sorry. When I go to local games. I go to the juniors and seniors and stuff. Do some reports, photos, videos. I share all their club stuff on my page. Try to get the news and events out there, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So what do you reckon I could do to promote this game that we have more in Perth?
I'm not a marketing expert, but whatever avenues are out there to help gain interest from other people, you obviously need to, marketing skills and how to get the game out there amongst your local community as much as you can. But I think finding other people who are similar interests of yours, who care about rugby league just as much as you, finding those people and trying to get a group of people together like that who are die-hard rugby league fans. Say there's 10, 100 or 1,000 of you.
Yeah.
If there's 1,000 of you and you spread the word and try to find the other 5 die-hard fans amongst yourselves, that's 5,000 people there, it's an easy concept to get your head around, but obviously there's a lot of hard work that needs to be put into, trying to find the people who are just like you, who love rugby league, who want to grow the game. And I think that kind of applies to anything else. This whole podcasting world as well.
Yeah.
I know that, probably 98% of people who have been fans of rugby league probably won't listen to the podcast that I do because it's a different world. They're probably not necessarily into it. So I've got to go back to the drawing board. I might have an advantage because there's rugby league fans that probably might have some interest in listening to what I have to say. That doesn't mean they're going to stick around. It's probably boring for them, what I'm trying to talk about. But so I've got to go back and do my homework, find other people who there's 1,000 other people who care about this podcast just as much as I do, so that I can grow it the way that, I was able to, in a way, grow fans for rugby league. But does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make. That's beautiful.
I think it's about finding other people who care just as much as you do about the game.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, mate. Speaking of your podcast, mate, how's it been going? I mean, I don't know. I've seen a couple of little short clips and stuff that you put on your Instagram page. Where can people find it?
It's on YouTube and most other podcasting platforms, Spotify, Google, and Apple.
Yep.
It's it's 22 episodes in now, so it's still early days. But it's something I enjoy doing. I enjoy, sharing things that other people have experienced that might help. Normally, it's based off self-interest. So if there's something that's happening in someone's life and I'm keen to know a bit more about it and how it's going to help my life, well, I'm pretty sure that I can find other people who might have similar interests or, what that might help solve something in their lives as well.
Yep.
And what I'm learning is that, not everyone's going to be a fan of every single episode. So, and I'm fine with that. It's just early days. I'm in the process of, I'm kind of like a 13-year-old going out and doing my extras again outside of footy training, but the main thing is I really enjoy doing it. So that's the number one reason why I do it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, mate. Have you had any sort of big guests or anything on your podcast?
Any what, sorry?
Any big guests like Adam Reynolds or someone like that, or any
the bigger names in the game?
I mean, you're a pretty big name yourself, mate, so don't sell yourself short there.
I've had Marcus Bion, who was, a legend of the game in PNG. I was a big fan growing up, so that was, I've been good friends with Marcus for well over a decade. But to have him on the podcast and have him share his story was interesting for me. I learned a lot about him. I've had Alex Glenn, Xavier Coates, obviously teammates of mine. Several other guys as well. Will Genia, who's played for the Wallabies. But also there's, other interesting people as well. I've had a guy from the SAS who's been on the show, and I learned a lot from him. He's also our welfare officer at the Bronx. So having the big names is good on the podcast, but I learned just as much as someone from someone who's probably not well known at all. Yeah. And I look for the little lessons that they teach that I probably wouldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah, right.
Like recently, I had this hypnobirthing lady.
Yes, I've seen some of that.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one. She's not really in the sporting world, but what she teaches applies in the sporting world. She teaches mums how to kind of meditate their way through birth. I have to be careful with what I say because, obviously that's not my field. All the mums out there are like, what do you know about birth? What are you talking about? But a lot of the stuff she talks about certainly applies in the sporting world as well.
Yeah, no, cool. Just one of the guys I've interviewed, he had an amazing story, was Paul Whatuira, played for the Panthers in the 03 Grand Final. Yeah. He's got a pretty good story, mate, if you ever get a chance to get him on. And he's doing some stuff over in New Zealand now, fitness stuff, like he does it online and stuff. So,
awesome.
yeah, he's got an amazing story, mate. If you ever get a chance to get him on,
Yeah. I'll check that. I'll check that episode out. And try to get him on. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, is there any other business interests that you got besides for just the podcast?
No, mate. Rugby league's keep me busy. My family's keeping me busy, and I'm trying to, do my 1 hour or 2 hours a week. Guest interviews on podcasts, as well as my homework on it every week. So that's keep me busy right now. But pre-season days are pretty big, so I'm just trying to look after my body and my health as much as I can.
That's beautiful, mate. So your podcast, the David Mead podcast, isn't it?
Yep, that's right.
Cool. Just for anyone that does come on and watches this, and I'll if you can send me the link or something, I'll blast it all over my Facebook and Instagram stuff.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, like I said, I've seen a couple of little episodes here and there, shorts off your Instagram. So, I'm going to jump on and have a listen a bit later on during the week.
That'd be awesome.
So, mate, that's all I've got tonight for you, man. I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me, mate. I mean, I know you're a busy man with family, podcast, and the Bronx, but I can't thank you enough for your time.
No worries, Jamie. It's been a pleasure, mate. I love the questions. I really enjoyed the chat. Maybe one day we'll do a session 2. You never know. Maybe when the Perth team comes into play.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Absolutely, that'd be great. No, I really appreciate it, mate. All the best for the season, and much love to your family, mate, for coming up.
Thanks, Jamie, and same to you and yours, eh?
Thanks, mate. You have a good night.
Thanks, brother. You too. Take care, mate.